Hi. 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 Hello. I would like to buy an elephant. Sorry, we're out of elephants. But we have 2 giraffes and 1 cheetah left. Would you like one? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Does he even know why wild animals are called wild? Or maybe I don't know something. Let's figure it out together. Let's go. Unusual pets don't surprise anyone anymore. Some people have bears, others have elephants or whales in a fish tank. And all you need is money. But hunters from the Eurasian steppe have a different idea about pets. Following an ancient tradition, they've been hunting with the help of eagles for more than 1,000 years. And they have a unique relationship, more akin to a friendship. These animals do more than simply help during the hunt. The hunter must catch their own eagle at a young age and then do much more than simply train it. The hunter often sings to the bird, talks to it, and is the only one allowed to feed it. All this creates a strong bond between them that lasts for many years. People in the steppes are used to trusting and relying on their eagles, and in return, they help hunters provide food and furs for their families. The eagle stays with the hunter for about 10 years, but eventually returns to the wild. This, too, is part of the tradition. Birds that have hunted with humans always regain their freedom. Once upon a time, 3 baby cheetahs were raised by humans in Nankusi Wildlife Sanctuary in Namibia. They became so domesticated that they even started drinking water from the tap and watching TV in the home of the sanctuary's founder. Imagine, you walk into the kitchen and you see a cheetah. But that's not all. These wild felines can cover 330 feet in 4.5 seconds. But here they enjoy playing fetch with their owners, the sand people. It's like they're dogs and not cats. Sure, it's unusual behavior, but a cheetah watching TV isn't something you see every day either. But it's even weirder when domestic animals become wild. This natural process is called fertilization. But this is not just stray animals who are forced to survive on the streets. No, these processes have been going on for tens, hundreds, thousands of years. For example, dingoes first came to Australia between 5,000 and 12,000 years ago, along with the hunter and gatherers of some tribes. Some dingoes left their owners, gathered in packs, and started living on their own. The conditions were perfect. There was plenty of food, no natural enemies, and no serious competitors. Why not go feral under such conditions? Something similar happened to mustangs. They descended from domestic horses that were brought to the New World from Europe. For some reason, many of these horses abandoned humans and had to choose between dying or becoming feral and adapt. That's natural selection for you.
Good boy. How you doing, buddy?
But there are exceptions in nature. For example, in 2011, João Pereira de Souza, who lives near Rio de Janeiro, found an injured Magellanic penguin. After a week of rehabilitation, the penguin was ready to return to the wild. But instead, the bird decided to stay with his rescuer for almost a year and only then went away. João's friends believed that the bird wouldn't return, but a few months later, the penguin was on the beach again, and since then, he visits João every year at around the same time. Apparently, he has to travel several thousand miles just to spend time with his beloved human friend. Animals have been cooperating with humans for thousands of years, but there seems to be a relationship that has lasted even longer. And this is a true example of domestication from the insect world. We're talking about ants and aphids. Aphids suck the sap out of plants for most of their lives and excrete the excess in the form of sugar-enriched droplets. This nutrient syrup is an important part of ants' diet, so instead of just drinking it, ants protect their cows and even build them dwellings. By the way, aphids, which live in close symbiosis with ants, have adapted to squirt the sweet liquid directly into the ant's mouth after it rubs its abdomen with its antenna.
Oh my.
Hopefully YouTube won't think of this as an 18+ video because of these details. You don't think that was awesome? Not tame enough for you? Well then hang in there, because in a wildlife reserve in South Carolina, a female orangutan named Surya adopted a dog. How? Well, pretty much the same way people get animals. Roscoe the dog followed the shelter staff and snuck into the wildlife reserve, where Surya found him. Despite the fact that dogs are usually afraid of primates, the two immediately made a connection. Although I can't even imagine how they talked. Is there a version of Esperanto for animals? Anyway, Surya, along with the staff, began to take care of Roscoe, feeding him, playing with him, and protecting him. In short, she behaved like a true dog owner, and eventually the story of their friendship became so famous that it was turned into a book. On the one hand, it's very nice, but first they'll take our pets, then our jobs, and then we'll end up living on the planet of the apes. Watch out! If you think about it, there's nothing new in the story about the orangutan and the dog. Furthermore, it's a shameless ripoff of something similar that happened more than 15,000 years ago. That's when hunter-gatherers, which were descendants of apes, just like us, began to domesticate wild wolves. Do you see where I'm going with this? But the events that took place then, at the dawn of the human race, may have been much more interesting than we believe. What do you know about the domestication of dogs? You're probably remembering some facts that are stored in your brain. For example, that the people started feeding wolves to use them for hunting.
A sophisticated predator, nature's perfect killing machine, the vicious wolf, stalks its prey with purpose and skill. It was only with years of selective breeding and genetic altering that this noble beast was transformed into man's subservient little buddy.
Yes, something like that. But it could have been the other way around. It's possible that wolves simply tamed themselves. According to one theory, people didn't really need help while hunting, especially from wolves, which aren't known for sharing their prey, especially with their direct competitors. But wolves quickly realized that there was edible waste near human settlements, and being friendly with humans allowed them to eat it without being disturbed. Humans might even pat them and call them a good boy. Something similar might have happened with cats. DNA analysis showed that they lived side by side with humans for thousands of years before they were domesticated. During that time, feline genes changed little compared to those of their wild relatives. In short, cats simply followed rodents to human settlements, while our ancestors watched it all and wondered what to do if they already had cats and still hadn't invented the internet. Yes, it's hard to be 100% sure about things that happened such a long time ago. None of our ancestors bothered to write down the first successes in domestication, but let's not blame them for that. It's hard to write something down without an alphabet. But when something like this happens today, people start to think. Since cats have already domesticated humans, it's now time for deer.
Nice. That was awesome.
Despite the fact that they are by nature quite shy animals who try to stay away from humans. They like pats, and they even eat from our hands. If only there was food.
Who's hungry? Come on, who's hungry? Good morning. He's all ready to eat?
Honestly, here I wanted to make a joke about pigeons and even draw something, but I forgot the joke. Okay, let's move on. This scheme could work with many forest dwellers, just don't test it on bears. But what about fish? Okay, I know domesticating or taming fish sounds absurd. It's okay when this happens between underwater creatures. For example, long-fin damselfish have domesticated shrimps to fertilize their algae plantations. The shrimp gain protection from predators, while the fish receive nutrients for their farms. It's a win-win situation for everyone. It might sound hard to believe, but not as much as the story of an elderly Japanese diver who's been friends with an Asian sheepshead wrasse for more than 25 years. And yet here they are, Hiroyuki Arakawa and his strange-looking friend Yuriko. More than 25 years ago, he saved her from exhaustion by feeding her crabs for 10 days, and Yuriko hasn't left the place where they met since. Arakawa says that the fish seems to have a human face, but I wouldn't want to meet someone like that at night, or during the day for that matter. Asian sheepshead wrasses don't have a particularly attractive appearance, to be honest. Even if Asian sheephead wrasses looked like Valak, they wouldn't be as scary as sharks. That's how reputation works. And even if you talk all day about how not all sharks are predators and how they don't hunt people and how they only bite out of interest, it won't help. Seriously, what can we do against Steven Spielberg? However, there is at least one person in the world who isn't afraid of sharks, and on the contrary, loves them. Christina Zanato swims with a bunch of predators just to spend time with them. And not just to swim, but also to pet the sharks as if they were some kind of sea dogs, or cats, or rabbits. Imagine sitting with a shark on your lap. Well, for Christina, it's just a Wednesday. I don't know how exactly, but she was able to make friends with the wild predators, almost taming them. So who have we talked about so far? Sharks, cheetahs, eagles, penguins? There are about 1 trillion different species of living creatures on Earth, but it's impossible to tame them all. For once, because most of them are too small. And in addition, only 0.001% of the total number of our planet's inhabitants have been described. Is it even possible to make any plans for the future? As a matter of fact, yes. I wouldn't be surprised if in a decade or so, many pets were replaced by robots. They already exist today, but they aren't very realistic. And some are even too weird to explain. But it's only a matter of time.